Good evening, everybody. My name's Ricardo Costa. I'm the HDR coordinator for the Department of Nutrition, Dietetics and Food at Monash University. I'd like to welcome you to this postgraduate open day. I'm going to be chairing the meeting, and we've got a nice lineup of our fellow researchers to present some of the work and some of the possible PhD programs we have on offer. To get things going, I'll pass over to our head of department, Professor Gary Williamson, who will introduce you to a little bit to the department and some of the research that he's doing within Monash. And then we've got each researcher that will present a little bit of the sort of potential PhD programs that are on offer. So we'll pass over to Associate Professor Julia Brimblecombe, and then Dr. Nicole Kellow, Dr. Zoe Davidson, and Dr. Catherine Huggins. And then I'll finish off with any questions and answers you may have. We also have Natasha, which is a current PhD student, who will be also here to answer any questions you may have from a student perspective. So I'll stop sharing my screen and pass over to Gary, who will now introduce you to the department. Thank you very much, Gary.
So thanks, Ricardo. Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce the department from a research perspective. One of the things about nutrition is it's very much multidisciplinary. So rather than just doing one subject area, we look at really a whole combination of different subject areas, and the department is really quite broad. We cover nutrition and metabolism, public health nutrition, clinical research, and education research. I'm just going to show you a slide. I'd like to show you a slide. Seems like my share screen button's disappeared. Okay, now I've got it. Can I just pass on to somebody else while I get this technical issue sorted out? Can I just pass on to Julie Brimblecombe?
Sure, Gary. Yes, I can share my screen. If you stop sharing your screen, then I can share my screen.
While we're resolving this just technical hitch, there's a question and answer box. If anyone has any questions they want answering during the presentation, please just log those into the question and answer box, and myself or any other department members will answer that as we go through the presentations.
Fantastic. Shall I keep going, Ricardo? Evening, everybody. I'm Julie. Evening, everybody. I'm Julie Brimblecombe, Associate Professor of Public Health and Nutrition in the department. So I head up the Public Health and Nutrition team, and we're a very dynamic and closely connected team of 4 different academics, 3 research assistants, and we've got quite a number of PhD and honours students as well. And because we actually all come with quite a bit of experience as practitioners, policy developers, managers, researchers, academics, lecturers, etc. And we've got very wide, extensive networks with practitioners and academics within Australia and internationally, so overseas as well. We're very interested in doing real-world public health nutrition, hands-on experience. So if you're very passionate about making a difference, and making sure that your research translates into uptake of evidence into practice and policy, then we're probably the team for you to come and join. So as Gary said, we've got a number of different research themes, but in our research theme, we've got a number of different sub-themes as well, based on the type of research that we're doing. We've got a very strong interest in Indigenous people's food and nutrition. Quite a number of us in the public health nutrition team have worked within considerable time with different Indigenous communities, particularly in the Northern Territory. And we do have an Indigenous PhD student within our team as well. We're very much about working with retailers, for example, to help create health enabling and sustainable food environments. We do a lot of work around food and nutrition security, looking at issues around food access, food affordability. How can we address social inequity through making sure that healthy, affordable food is available to all different sectors of the population. We've got an interesting program of work emerging around communicating how can we be very effective in our communication of public health nutrition. And we've also got to focus on how we can build the public health nutrition workforce. So we do research around, was completed a very interesting project in that area. It's saying my internet's a little bit unstable. We certainly draw on a lot of diverse research methods. We've got a whole lot of different research methods at our disposal, I suppose. So depending on our research question, we're able to make sure that we choose appropriate research methods from the different methods that we have. And as I said before, we've got these extensive networks with other academics. And so we feel that we're very well placed to connect students with other academics, other researchers who have got similar interests. I thought just quickly, in my 3 minutes, I would introduce you to 5 of the PhD students that we have in the public health nutrition research theme. So you can see from these students, they're doing they've got a number of diverse projects applying different methods, working with different populations. So Jane Dancy is actually working with Monash University and looking at how we can actually use regulation or regulatory measures to be able to help create health enabling environments, working with food retailers. Excuse me. Bella is using realist evaluation to do an evaluation of cooking programs and nutrition education to really get an understanding of what types of approaches work and in what contexts and in what circumstances. Liza has got a passion for food sustainability and is looking at what different types of food sustainability policies, local that's informing those policies, and how are these policies taken up by local government and implemented. Bo Cabillo is a Larrakia, Wajjikan Aboriginal man from Darwin, and Bo is looking at Indigenous people's knowledges of the nutritional benefits of fish and seafood. And there's Bo with a fish that he's caught. Julia McCartan is looking at the bush food industry and Indigenous foods and how their how representation of Indigenous people's food how Indigenous people's food is represented in the Australian bush food industry. And so Julia's drawing on really innovative methods of using critical discourse analysis with what she's doing. So you can see there's diversity. We've got quite a number of students presently. we do have a number of honours students as well. And so certainly if you're interested in public health nutrition, and like I said before, interested in making a real difference, and prepared to use different types of methodologies, etc., then please get in contact with me. We'd love to talk with you. We're also very good at kind of shaping PhDs to suit people's passions and interests. So thank you for your time. Oh, I'm going to introduce the next researcher that we have in our department, and that's Dr. Nicole Kellow.
Thanks very much, Julie. I'll just share my screen. Okay, this slide's probably a bit superfluous. It's just a little introduction to who I am. As Julie said, my name's Nicole, and I'm interested in exploring how the food we eat impacts on fertility. I was a clinical dietitian for about 18 years before I did my PhD, and so my area of interest is usually involves running clinical trials, especially in the areas of diabetes and fertility. And I've got a picture of myself there, and it looks like it must have been taken prior to COVID lockdowns because I'm smiling. Okay, I'll just give you a little bit of background. So if a person is unable to become pregnant after 12 months of trying, they're considered to have infertility. And up to 15% of reproductive age couples are affected by infertility at some point in their lifetimes, and that incidence is increasing worldwide. Although we spend a lot of our time trying to avoid becoming pregnant, when we are ready to get pregnant and start a family, infertility can have quite a devastating impact on, the social, financial, and physical, psychological status of infertile couples. So I'll just run through a couple of my research projects that I'll be commencing next year. But first of all, just think about this. The quality of the embryo that you developed from was determined by the quality of the sperm that came from your dad and the quality of the egg that came from your mum. And the nutrients that are present in the microenvironment where the sperm and where the egg developed, so in the seminal fluid for the sperm and in the follicular fluid for the egg, the nutrients present there are influenced by the nutrients in the person's diet. So instead of that familiar saying, you are what you eat, it would probably be more appropriate to say, you are what your parents ate. And so this particular project is looking at, bearing in mind that we know that in the early stages of spermatogenesis, so production of sperm, the sperm cells, before they become sperm cells, are very susceptible to high levels of oxidative stress. The cell loses its cytoplasm, and it's really reliant on antioxidants present in the seminal fluid. Now, there's been lots of dietary antioxidant clinical trials done on men, usually healthy men, to see if sperm quality improves. The quality of these trials are not that great. So what we're interested in is looking at a polyphenol-based dietary supplement, which polyphenols are plant-based compounds, which many have antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties. And we're interested in looking at whether men who are subfertile, so have a lower level of sperm quality, whether that particular dietary supplement can improve sperm quality. However, sperm quality is not a great marker. It's just a proxy marker or a surrogate marker of fertility. What people are more interested in, and the participants themselves, is whether they can have a live birth outcome. So we'll be looking at both sperm quality and successful pregnancy and live birth outcomes in these men. And we've got some additional collaborators, Gary Williamson, my boss, who is world expert on polyphenols, so I only bring in the best to help supervise. And we've got staff from the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology as well. And finally, just one other project that I wanted to mention, and I'll just start by saying that what if I told you that 50% of the adult population roughly 50%, experiences monthly symptoms such as abdominal pain, heavy blood loss, psychological changes, and also disturbed gastrointestinal function. And I'm talking about all the women who suffer in silence and experience menstrual cycle associated symptoms. We're interested in looking at, firstly, whether the composition of the gut bacteria of those women who experience severe symptoms changes throughout the course of the menstrual cycle, but also whether we can influence the symptoms that people experience during the menstrual cycle by giving them a dietary supplement, a type of dietary fibre known as resistant starch, which encourages the growth of beneficial bacteria in the gut. And that can then have those flow-on effects, hopefully, to lowering inflammation, affecting that gastrointestinal brain connection, and also influencing menstrual associated pain. So we're going to use some state-of-the-art technologies, not technologies like 16S rRNA bacterial sequencing, but some that's so 2019. We're interested in much more high-tech methods such as shotgun metagenomic sequencing, which will sequence all of the genetic material in the gut of these women. So happy to talk further, but now I'd just like to introduce you to Dr. Zoe Davidson, who will be introducing her projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm just going to share my screen quickly as well. Great. So today I just wanted to, similar to Julie, give you a bit of an introduction to the clinical nutrition research theme at Monash Nutrition Department, and really to just give you an overview about how we really span research across the lifespan and clinical populations. So sitting under our theme is a range of researchers. You've just heard from Nicole and also Kate, who you'll hear from next. There's also Dr. Christy Bennett, who also works a lot in maternal health, Kay, who works in nutrition in older adults. Myself, I work very much in paediatric populations. And we've also got Georgia Collins, who works very much in a hospital setting and understanding the way we deliver food to people in hospitals as well. So the clinical nutrition theme broadly encompasses what we talk about as clinical populations. So we work one-on-one with individuals to potentially improve dietary intake, but also health service settings in terms of how we deliver health interventions and how we kind of also start to integrate and implement science findings into practical dietary research. So that's really a broad overview of the theme, if this sounds like an interesting area to you. A couple of the current projects that we have running in clinical nutrition, a PhD project put up by Dr. Christy Bennett is looking at the role of sleep and healthy lifestyle choices, particularly in polycystic ovary syndrome. And as myself, my main area in paediatrics is about children with muscle disorders. So potentially there's a project around exploring nutrition for children with spinal muscular atrophy, which is a rare muscle disorder. Another honours project that I want to plug as well is actually looking at where children who can go in Victoria to access services if they are overweight or obese. So really mapping those services out across Victoria. And Natasha, who's on the call as well, is a PhD student, and she's helping supervise that as well. So coming into her last year of PhD is starting to get some of these supervision skills as well. So if you like working with people and helping them change their diets or uptake interventions, clinical nutrition is for you, and my email's down the bottom. I'm happy to connect you to people in this area or to discuss potential research areas. And with that said, I'm going to hand over to another one of our theme members, Dr. Kate Huggins, who's going to talk a little bit about honours, I believe, and her research.
Hello, sorry, you would think I know my way around Zoom by now, but I still seem to fumble my way around. Apologies for that. So thank you for taking the time to come and hear from all of us today. So I'm here representing the metabolism theme within the Nutrition, Dietetics and Food department. And several of our theme members are here today. So you've already heard from Nicole, Professor Gary Williamson and Dr. Ricardo Costa are also members of our theme who might tell you a little bit about their projects after me. So we undertake studies, human studies, spanning from basic science to clinical effectiveness. And really our driver in all the work that we do is thinking about translation potential, so how this is going to impact the people in our communities. We have a broad range of projects that we look at in our theme and use a number of different experimental approaches to ensure that we're undertaking cutting edge and leading research. So I've just listed a couple of the current projects and supervisors who, potential supervisors who you might like to connect with after tonight. And again, I encourage you to look at our website to see more details under our theme and other potential supervisors. But as a quick snapshot, Associate Professor Maxine Bonham is leading a world first study to attenuate metabolic disruption caused by shift work. This is a large study that's funded by the NHMRC and will be ongoing for the next 4 years. Dr. Amy Dordovic uses novel molecular biology techniques. In particular, she likes to look at transcriptomics, proteomics, metabolomics to study how nutrients, lifestyle and disease states are linked through nutrigenomic interaction. Dr. Barbara Cardoso is investigating the health benefits of nut consumption and the role of the micronutrient selenium on chronic diseases. I'm not sure if Ricardo or Gary are going to present about their own research today, but just to give you a quick snapshot, Ricardo looks at exercise-induced gastrointestinal stress and is internationally recognised for the work that he does for understanding how this impacts on ultra-endurance athletes' performance. And Professor Gary Williamson looks at the benefits of phytonutrients naturally found in plant-based foods and using mechanistic studies to understand what's happening at a molecular level and linking that to what it might mean for people with type 2 diabetes. I also have a number of projects that are underway, including investigating novel health service models for the delivery of nutrition care, and also looking at examining non-traditional risk factors for type 2 diabetes. So just to give a really, I guess, big overview of the research approach that we take within the metabolism theme. So we really do work from the molecular level through to clinical effectiveness type studies. So we look at the nutrigenomic interactions. We also then run acute studies in humans to look at testing some of the things that we find out at a cellular level and seeing how foods and nutrients impact on metabolic function, for example. We then move to testing some of these ideas through novel interventions in RCTs. And also at the heart of what we do is collaborating and partnering globally to achieve impact. So I'll hand over to Gary Williamson now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Whenever I try and share my screen, it doesn't come up with the screen.
We can see, Gary, your slide.
You can. Okay, I can't.
Yep.
Okay, so you can see the one that says research in nutrition.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, the department covers a whole range of general areas, as you've just heard. We have a facility for looking at human volunteers, for taking people in. We have a commercial kitchen for preparing food, an exercise and fitness studio, and we have cell culture and biochemical lab. So the important point about nutrition is it really is multidisciplinary and covers a whole range of different areas: nutrition, food, biochemistry, physiology, cell biology, biomedicine, chemistry. And depending on the area in which you do a PhD, it can cover one or more of those different areas. So we have something for everyone, but the main interest is really in nutrition, food, and how that affects health, and the sustainability. So we have a number of different specific research areas that we work in. My specific area is in the area of phytochemicals, but particularly what happens after we eat food. So one of the most important things is after we eat food, depending on what we eat, we can put some sort of stress on the body. And if we have low glycemic index diets, then these substantially reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes, and phytonutrients can help in preventing some of this so-called postprandial oxidative damage to the blood vessels. So that's one of the main things that we're interested in. So in the interest of time, I'll finish there, but I do want to point out that if you're interested in any of these projects, then you can contact me at this email address. So I'll hand over to Ricardo. We have about 2 minutes left, I think, for questions. So Ricardo.
Yeah, thank you very much. There's 2 questions here. I was just typing them out, but I can answer them now. So one is, do you accept summer placements for students? Yes, we do, and we're just about to write those out now and submit those to universities. So if you go to the main university website, there are summer placements, and our nutrition, dietetics, and food department ones will be listed there. But in the meantime, if you want more specific information of what's available, contact sort of the main reception at BASE. So it's base.nutrition@monash.edu. Use that web address, and we can provide you more specific details. The other one is if you go into a master's first instead of doing honours. So if you go master's in dietetics first instead of going to honours in research, does that provide eligibility for entry into PhD? Now, if you do a master's at Monash, master's in dietetics at Monash, then that has direct H1 equivalency. It means if you get a 80% or over, you go directly into PhD. You're eligible to enroll in a PhD at Monash, or if you get 70% plus have additional research evidence, then you're eligible for H2, means you are eligible to enroll. That is because the Masters in Dietetics course we have at Monash has already been mapped for research competencies. So you do have a lot of research components already in that course, more than you would in any other dietetic course in Australia. So you're only eligible to go into PhD at Monash if you do the Monash course. If you come from another Masters in Dietetics and you try to enter for PhD, you will not get in because there's not enough research in other courses to meet the criteria for entry. You'd have to do an honours. So please just bear that one in mind. There's another question here. Oh, sorry, I didn't get the nutrition dietetic email. So it is base.nutrition, or if you go to our website, so if you go, there are a variety of emails depending on what information you want. If you go to the department website, Monash University, Department of Nutrition, Dietetics and Food, on our homepage, you'll have contacts, and there'll be a variety of different emails there, depending on your information on the undergraduate course, postgraduate course, clinics, etc. Okay, next one. Will I be exposed to real lab experience in honours because of the current COVID situation? So the answer can be either yes or no. It depends on research project you do, but some of the research currently undergoing is essential research, especially some of the work that Professor Williamson is doing is specific to COVID. So you will be exposed to lab if you do that essential research, and most of what's been presented today is lab research. So the answer to that is more likely than yes, irrespective of the situation. We've already got OHS procedures in place to cope with the current situation. Any other further questions we have? Thank you, Ricardo. Okay, yep, thank you very much. I've got no further questions, so I guess I'll close the session here, but please do go to our website and email us or contact any of the specific supervisors if you have any further queries or questions. And yeah, thank you very much for attending, and I hope you enjoyed the variety of different information that was given. Thank you, and we'll close the session here.
So just a second, just before we finish, Kate, is there? No?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Kate, thanks for telling me about the screen share, because I shared the screen like I always do, 100 times, and just everything just disappeared.
It was there the first time too, actually.
Was it? Oh, you should have told me, because according to my computer, everything disappeared, and I just had my desktop in front of me.
Oh,
I hadn't realised the issue, and then we sort of made the decision to flex. I thought I'll let it go, but when I saw it happen again, I thought I better say something.
I thought I'd messed it up, you see, because I mean, obviously I've shared screen 100 times, but for some reason it just disappeared.
I thought that you were trying to enlarge the slides, so I thought, oh yeah.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
No, because what you thought I was doing was actually going around this blank screen.
Oh, you poor thing. Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was good. Tash,
well done, Ricardo, on addressing all those questions so quickly.
Yeah.
And thank you, Tash, for being willing to answer any questions.
That's all right. If anyone has it,
I think everyone went over a little bit as well.
There are some attendees still noted.
Yeah. Any attendees got any further questions? If you're still there, do we have any guests still? Yes.
Oh yes, we still got 10 people with us.
They're gone. They're gone.
One left.
We didn't say anything bad.
No. As soon as we acknowledged them, they took off. There we go.
I know,
zero.
they ran. But yes,
I just wanted to say it before we did say anything that we should.
Yeah.
And we're still being recorded.
Thank you, Tash, for being available if we want to forward any queries student-related onto you. Thank you.
Feel free to forward anything onto me. That's fine.
I do think this format is quite difficult in terms of these open days, I have to say.
No, it's awful.
It's just not the same, is it?
No.
I had no idea who was there. The audience. No idea.
Lecturing's exactly the same at the moment.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But for an open day, it's just a bit different,
I hate it when you make a joke and it's just silence.
I laugh, Nicole.
We were laughing. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ricardo, and everyone for this. Yeah. It's quite difficult, but and thanks for telling me my screen was actually on, even though it disappeared.
I thought it was good for you to finish off anyway, Gary.
Yeah, probably was okay like that.
Talking about that interesting science and things. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
And there was still, 13 or 14 participants online. So that's
there was more than I was fearing.
I thought there were 23 actually.
At some point, there's 20.
Sorry, towards the end.
Yeah. Okay. And minus us. Do we count as participants or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Mm. Oh yes. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if we get any interest from people. Let us know if you do get any.
And sorry, Ricardo, you weren't on my slide. I thought you were going to present your own
No, it's-
projects today. So my
Oh no,
apologies.
don't worry. Yeah, no. I mean, it's so, my area is so niche that there's no point me promoting it because the sports dietitians will come directly.
Yeah, that is.
He doesn't
true,
need to
but
promote.
It's not me.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I will promote it in January, but I'll just go straight to the sports dietetic Google group. That's where the market is, I guess. That's how you say it.
Yeah, great.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
You too.
Thanks.
Nice to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.